GoFundMe is supposed to be the internet's biggest charity platform. But behind the heartwarming headlines is something much darker. Because while many people use it to seek help for real crises, others exploit it, stealing money, sinking lower than you'd ever imagine, faking illnesses.
She said she had cancer. Now she's facing jail time.
Exploiting their own children.
They say she claimed the boy died and his body was cremated.
And even ending lives.
She's the 7-year-old Make-A-Wish girl whose mother is now charged with murdering her.
And those are just a few cases. These scammers aren't just lying. They're capable of anything. Cancer is nothing to joke about. So why would anyone question Jessica Ann Smith when she claimed she was fighting for her life? Yes, at just 23 years old, the Pennsylvanian woman was diagnosed with hereditary non-polyposis colorectal cancer, also known as Lynch syndrome. But she wasn't facing this battle alone. On Facebook and GoFundMe, users donated over $10,000 to help Jessica pay medical bills, travel costs, and childcare, kindness she appeared to be more than grateful for.
People are coming out of the woodworks to help, which is, will restore anyone's faith in humanity.
But Jessica's diagnosis, her fundraisers, her encouragement for her supporters to #FightLikeAJessica, it was all built on a lie.
She made people believe that she had a very serious cancer diagnosis. The fact is, she didn't have cancer.
Jessica was arrested and charged with theft by deception and receiving stolen property in November 2019. But she had been on law enforcement's radar for much longer than that. It turned out, police had been investigating her since June 2018, when Jessica's husband and her friend filed a report that accused her of faking cancer. And they weren't the only ones who were suspicious about her claims. Looking back at Jessica's commitment to the bit was deeply unsettling.
I actually have some chemo burns right now.
I'll be looking forward to posting that I'm in remission.
However, there were a number of red flags in her story. For example, on her GoFundMe, Jessica talked about her treatment at Abraham Cancer Center, which was actually called Abramson Cancer Center, something you'd think a patient at the facility would know. Jessica's friend from high school, Terry Coleman, and her podcast co-host, Jeff Berg, also became skeptical of Jessica's diagnosis after featuring her as a guest on their show.
She was going through this checklist and it was almost too perfect.
She was very nondescript with her treatment, her diagnosis, and just used very vague language.
Even listeners seemed unconvinced, since Jessica appeared on the podcast again 4 days later to address accusations that she was faking her illness.
Here is my fitness for duty form with the word cancer on it.
But Jessica's lies went deeper than anyone suspected. When speaking with her doctor, investigators learned photos Jessica claimed captured her receiving chemo was actually from an iron infusion. And the fraud allegedly didn't stop there. Jessica was accused of impersonating a doctor, a nurse, and even a law enforcement officer, the latter leading to charges of identity theft and criminal impersonation. Yes, Jessica's relationship with the truth was clearly complicated.
She even lied about her own father's death to get an extra day off from work.
And while those who donated to her campaigns might have received a full refund, it seemed an apology wasn't on the horizon.
People say they just want to hear an apology from you.
After pleading guilty to theft by deception and forgery, Jessica received 3 years of probation. She was also ordered to attend a mental health program and pay $4,375 to GoFundMe and $8,311 to Facebook. Of course, Jessica Ann Smith isn't the only person who has used a fake cancer diagnosis to open people's hearts and wallets. Madison Russo, who we previously covered in depth, was a 19-year-old college student who had used social media to document her ongoing battle with stage 2 pancreatic cancer and leukemia.
You could look at somebody from the outside and think they look healthy, but you don't see that inside their body is literally trying to destroy them.
Yes, despite her glowing tan and long locks, Maddie's battle with cancer wasn't pretty.
I have this mat, and we call it the yak mat. It's basically like a yoga mat, but it's long, and we put it in the bathroom because I have hardwood floors, so it's easier to puke.
In fact, in Maddie's own words, cancer was
ugly,
and deadly. See, in late 2022, Maddie's fight for survival met a major football-sized roadblock, a tumor on her spine. By January 2023, her GoFundMe, which had raised over $37,000 to help pay Maddie's medical expenses, posted a bleak update. She has tried everything and given it her all. The creator of the campaign, Tom Boland, wrote, "Chemo, radiation, and other methods have no longer helped." According to the page, the only thing left to hope for was a miracle. And while it wasn't exactly seen as miraculous, Maddie did survive, mainly because it turned out the teen wasn't sick at all. On January 11th, 2023, authorities received a tip that Maddie had cashed out all the money donated to her on GoFundMe. And according to law enforcement, these donations weren't going towards any life-saving treatments.
Officers say 19-year-old Madison Russo stole the money from more than 439 donors with false claims that she suffered from acute lymphoblastic leukemia, stage 2 pancreatic cancer, and a tumor the size of a football.
Law enforcement first started looking into Maddie Russo when medical professionals approached them about terrible life-threatening inaccuracies in the teen's social media posts. And as police continued their investigation, it wasn't long before Maddie's entire cancer story fell apart. Her medical records proved she had never been treated for cancer. On top of that, the pictures she shared to social media, well, they didn't always belong to her.
This picture alone should put her in jail. She literally stole this photo, hoping that nobody would ever know.
Maddie was arrested on January 23, 2023, and charged with theft by means of deception. However, hours after her arrest, she was bailed out with a $10,000 cash bond by the creator of her GoFundMe, Thomas Boland. While his relationship with Maddie is unknown, online rumors circulate that Thomas wasn't just a married man, but Maddie's lover. Regardless of speculation, no relationship or bail money could protect Maddie from the law. In June 2023, Maddie pleaded guilty to first-degree theft. During her sentencing, she tried to explain why someone who looked like they had everything together would stoop so low.
I didn't do this for money or greed. I didn't do this for attention. I did this in an attempt to try and get my family back together.
According to Maddie, she came from a broken family, where she was always told she was the only one who could fix things. And what brought people together more than a sick child? Clearly, this plan backfired.
I thought if I said what I said, it would make everybody pull together. It didn't work, and it only got worse.
But now that everyone believed she had cancer, what choice did she have? For Maddie, coming clean wasn't an option.
From here, it all went downhill, and it snowballed quickly and hard. I'm young, and I don't know it all. I was not being rational.
For her crime, Maddie received a 10-year suspended prison sentence with 3 years of probation. If completed successfully, she will spend no time behind bars. As for her 400 GoFundMe contributors, they received refunds and a valuable wake-up call about the scams that lurk online.
I didn't really have words. Like when my friend sent me the link, was like, oh my gosh, you shared this, you donated. Like, I didn't donate that much, but it's like you do what you can and you're just like shocked. I hope the people in the foundations that donated get all their money back in. Hopefully they can give it to someone with an actual diagnosis.
Someone perhaps like Blake. In June 2016, Victoria Morrison started a GoFundMe for a terminally ill son, Blake. The campaign was called Blake's Bucket List. On the page, the Nevada mother explained that her son had initially been diagnosed with type 3 von Willebrand. Victoria, however, knew something more was going on, and eventually, a bone marrow test proved her intuition right. Her son had leukemia. According to the mother, at that moment, her world fell apart, but Blake was her baby, and that meant this was a fight she was not willing to give up on for him. Blake made a list of things he wants to do before he gets too sick. Now it's my job to help him do that, Victoria wrote. But I'm a single mom to 3 other kids and work. So please, if you have a spare dollar, help me help my son's wishes and dreams come true. The GoFundMe ended up raising over $2,000 for Blake, and the giving back didn't stop there. In December 2016, the 10-year-old was gifted a shopping spree with emergency responders and received a charity helicopter, both bittersweet moments for the mother.
It was so uncomfortable, but I wouldn't change it.
After all, as happy as this special attention made Blake, her son didn't have much time left. According to the mother, doctors told her he likely wouldn't make it until Christmas. In the end, Blake did make it to Christmas, but not much longer after that. According to a tragic GoFundMe update from Victoria, her son passed away on April 8, 2017. His body had already been cremated and the memorial service had come and gone. But less than a week later, on April 14th, there was another update, and this one wasn't posted to GoFundMe. Victoria was arrested at a motel after someone tipped off the police after speaking to Victoria's partner, who said their son wasn't dead. Deputies first conducted a welfare check on Victoria, Blake, and his 3 siblings. When they spoke with Victoria, the mother didn't budge on her story, claiming Blake had passed away a few days earlier while in hospice care. But when the sheriff's office contacted the county coroner, they learned there was no death certificate. Following this discovery, the police were contacted by Victoria's property manager, who said they'd seen Blake alive. A deputy in the area then found the boy, who confirmed their identity and that they were unharmed. But then, Blake told the officer something eerie. According to the boy, his mom and her boyfriend were taking him on a hunting trip next weekend. Of course, this could have been a regular outing, but given the context that everyone outside of the family believed Blake was dead, was this trip their way of getting rid of him for good? Thankfully, this is a question we'll never know the answer to, as Victoria was arrested shortly after this, and her 4 children were placed safely in state protective custody. What we do know is that Blake had been diagnosed with a treatable childhood illness, which his mother embellished into something terminal, seemingly to scam well-meaning people out of their money, which GoFundMe ultimately refunded. And it wasn't just strangers online that Victoria tricked, but her local community, friends, even Blake's teacher, who had given Victoria gift cards valued at $200 after Blake passed away. But no one was more in the dark than her own son, who believed his mother when she told him he had terminal leukemia. In May 2018, Victoria pleaded guilty to child neglect or endangerment causing substantial mental harm. She was sentenced up to 12.5 years in prison for actions Carson City Deputy District Attorney Melanie Brantingham described as evil and some of the most depraved conduct that they've seen in their community. But as our next story proves, things can always get more depraved. See, Blake wasn't the only kid with a bucket list.
The doc is here.
Good job, Doc.
According to her GoFundMe set up by her mother, Kelly Renee Turner, her daughter Olivia Gant suffered from autism, a seizure disorder, developmental delays, a tumor, and several other medical issues, the most devastating being neurogastrointestinal cephalopathy, a disease known for attacking vital organs. One thing was certain, Olivia wasn't going to survive this.
No, we don't know how much longer she has.
So her mother created a bucket list of last wishes, which included a ride in a police patrol car and putting out a fire with local firefighters.
So here's my bucket list. Be a fireman.
We got to do that, so they have to check it out.
The Make-A-Wish Foundation and DaVita Inc., a Denver-based dialysis company, also helped make Olivia's dreams come true, turning her into Bat Princess for the day to save Disney's Belle and Ariel from Ursula and Captain Hook. But the fantasies turned into reality. The $500,000 in health coverage and the over $22,000 collected on GoFundMe weren't enough to save Olivia, and at just 7 years old, she passed away in 2017. Flash forward 2 years later to 2019, and Kelly Renee Turner was under arrest. Her alleged crime? Faking her daughter's illness and taking her life. An investigation into Olivia's death was launched after Kelly brought Olivia's older sister into the hospital with complaints of bone pain and claimed that the child was diagnosed with cancer. And a look into the past quickly exposed that Olivia's presence at the Children's Hospital of Colorado wasn't just uplifting.
Hi, my name is Stacy.
And I'm Olivia.
And we're making a cake, right?
Yes.
But concerning. In fact, multiple doctors who had treated Olivia told investigators that they didn't believe the child's medical issues were life-threatening. Various nurses had also gone to the Children's Hospital Child Protection Team with their suspicions that Olivia was being medically mistreated by her mother, but nothing was done. Instead, Olivia was subjected to unnecessary surgeries, prescribed anti-seizure medication despite doctors never witnessing a seizure, and had 3 different kinds of feeding tubes installed in just 1 year. Then, when Kelly complained that the feeding tubes didn't solve Olivia's digestive problems, doctors installed a tube that would send nutrition through her veins. Before Olivia's death, the mother requested a do not resuscitate order on Olivia. Her doctor, however, noticed that Olivia wasn't displaying the symptoms her mother claimed she had, and went to his higher-ups with his concerns. But the hospital sided with the mother, transferring Olivia's care to another doctor who signed the do not resuscitate order. Following this, Kelly told staff she wanted to stop the tube that was sending nutrition to Olivia's veins, a death sentence for the 7-year-old. Olivia was put in hospice care, where she would die after 19 days without food. According to her grandfather, who shared a video of Olivia singing Hakuna Matata from The Lion King on her way to hospice, she had no idea the end of her life was so near.
She didn't know she was going to die. She was happy to get out of that hospital and get all those tubes out of her.
Following her arrest, Kelly admitted that she made up the second child's cancer diagnosis. However, she claimed she wasn't lying about Olivia's illness. Yet, when Olivia's body was exhumed, there was no evidence found that she died of intestinal failure. The Children's Hospital of Colorado was sued by Olivia's family for allegedly failing to follow the state's mandatory child reporting laws that demand hospital workers report any suspected mistreatment to outside authorities.
They had a duty to report any suspicions of child abuse or medical child to the authorities.
In the end, the civil case was settled with the hospital paying Olivia's family an undisclosed amount. As for the person at the center of this case, Kelly Renee Turner, in 2022, the mother pleaded guilty to negligent CA causing death, theft, and charitable fraud. She was sentenced to 16 years in prison for her crime. But of course, GoFundMe isn't just about bucket lists and medical bills. Sometimes, giving back is as simple as helping a good Samaritan get back on their feet. At least, that's what Mark D'Amico and his girlfriend, Caitlin McClure, claimed they wanted to do in a GoFundMe campaign they launched in 2017. The target of their goodwill, a homeless veteran by the name of Johnny Bobbitt. According to the GoFundMe, Caitlin met Johnny when she ran out of gas near Philadelphia Interstate. Despite being homeless, he didn't hesitate to give Caitlin his last $20 to pay for her fuel.
Wasn't expecting anything in return.
But something in return was exactly what Johnny received. Touched by the homeless man's generosity, the couple returned the next day to give him $100. They then began seeing him a few times a week, giving him food and clothing and befriending him in the process.
We got him like granola bar type of things, and he opened the box and he was like, "Do you guys want one?"
Then they had an idea.
What if we started a GoFundMe for this guy?
On the fundraiser page, the couple asked for donations that would give Johnny funds to buy his own car and rent an apartment. What they never expected was just how viral this heartwarming tale would go. Their goal was to raise $10,000. However, as donations poured in,
as of right now, we have that much. Right there. 1,760.
That changes my life.
That number quickly grew to the point that Johnny asked Kate to stop accepting donations because he didn't want to feel like he was taking advantage of others' kindness. However, after receiving a number of messages from people who wanted to donate, the campaign was reopened, soon gathering a whopping $400,000, turning Mark, Caitlin, and Johnny into the feel-good story of the year.
I can't get enough of this story. It's incredible.
A homeless man in Pennsylvania has a lot to be thankful for this Thanksgiving.
This act of kindness set off a domino effect.
Johnny didn't have a bank account, so Mark and Caitlin kept the fortune safe in their personal account. After all, for a man who was sleeping under a bridge, this was life-changing money.
I'm definitely gonna get a place to live.
And Caitlin and Mark appear to be just as excited as Johnny.
He's gonna have a future, like a real, actual future. So I can see us being friends for hopefully forever.
So with that, the heartwarming story came to its happy ending. Until 2018, when Johnny hit Mark and Caitlin with something no one saw coming, a lawsuit. Yes, the veteran was accusing the couple of withholding the majority of the money they raised for him, only giving him $75,000 of $400,000.
What he would like is to obtain the money that was raised for him. Over 14,000 people gave money to Johnny Bobbitt to help him.
While the GoFundMe page claimed the money would go toward a trust for Johnny and a home, he was given a camper that was parked on Caitlin and Mark's property, and an allowance.
I have to ask them for everything. It was kind of, in the beginning it was a joke, like they were like my parents. But the joke stops being funny after a while.
Meanwhile, the couple began going on helicopter rides, luxury vacations, and shopping sprees, even purchasing a new car.
I figured I knew who was paying for it, but I didn't know what to do.
Mark and Caitlin, however, told a different story. They claimed that they hadn't spent any of Johnny's money, and that they'd already given Johnny half of the fortune. According to the couple, they gave Johnny cash whenever he asked for it, until they realized what he was using it for. Yes, they claimed Johnny had slipped back into his addiction and had started spending recklessly.
You went through $25,000 in how long? How long?
13 days.
At the rate he was burning through the money, it wouldn't be long until he had nothing left. So, Mark and Caitlin protected Johnny from himself by keeping his fortune away from him. Or so they claimed. For Johnny's part, he admitted he had relapsed. But while he said he could understand why Mark thought he would blow through the money on illegal substances, at the same time, he didn't.
I feel he had a right to be the person to make that call.
And despite the couple's attempt to defend themselves, some things weren't adding up.
As a lawyer, I would say to you, why not put it all in a separate account and get a trustee?
Mark claimed.
That's what we're in the process of doing now.
Caitlin, however, looked visibly nervous when the money was brought up.
Have you spent $1 of that $400,000 on yourselves?
No.
Nothing.
No.
You're representing that right here and right now. There's never
Yes.
going to be any proof that you did.
No.
And as the investigation into the couple continued, it soon became clear why Caitlin appeared so uncomfortable. The money was gone. According to the prosecutor's office, Mark and Caitlin had spent every last cent on casino gambling and personal items such as a BMW, a New Year's trip to Las Vegas, a helicopter ride over the Grand Canyon, and Louis Vuitton handbags. After the couple admitted there was nothing left, police searched their home, towing their BMW and leaving with bags of evidence, while Mark practiced his golf swing in the yard. But in this story, no one was innocent.
She did not run out of gas on an I-95 off-ramp, and he did not spend his last $20 to help her. Rather, D'Amico, McClure, and Bobbitt conspired to pass off a fake, feel-good story that would compel donors to contribute to their cause.
Yes, according to the prosecutors, the entire GoFundMe campaign was fabricated to pull at the public's heartstrings and purse strings. It turned out, Johnny had posted the same story about helping a woman who had run out of gas on Facebook in 2012, before he had ever met Caitlin. So, Johnny, Caitlin, and Mark were all charged with second-degree theft by deception and conspiracy to commit theft by deception. Safe to say, the friendship between the three didn't survive into the trials.
So I can see us being friends for, hopefully, forever.
And neither did Caitlin or Mark's relationship. In the end, Mark was sentenced to 5 years in prison, and Caitlin was sentenced to 3. Johnny got off lighter. Instead of receiving prison time, he received 5 years probation and was admitted into a recovery program that would treat his addiction. However, if he doesn't stay clean, he could face up to 5 years behind bars. Stories like these prove that whenever and wherever communities come together to lend support, there's always someone looking for a way to cash in. In recent months, fake GoFundMe campaigns have exploited everything from teens dying in a car crash, a natural disaster.
Tragically, at a time when families are suffering the greatest loss, what we have to do is help these families instead of having them being taken advantage of.
Even a deadly attack.
When people are already hurting, why would you try to capitalize on that financially?
And while these cases we look at prove these fraud campaigns have a history of being taken down and creators have faced legal consequences, this allegedly hasn't stopped scammers from using the same old tricks. In June 2025, another couple was accused by a homeless man of refusing to hand over the funds they collected for him on GoFundMe. Brian G. Ferreira and Rachel Cadis raised over $17,800 to support 65-year-old Greg Bobst on his journey to stability. Money, Greg told the Bridgewater, Massachusetts police force, he never received. And it seemed Greg would never see that money, as less than a month after accusing the couple of withholding the funds, he passed away on July 1st. In August, the couple pleaded not guilty to the charges of larceny by false pretenses, embezzlement, and conspiracy. They will return to court this October. But with fraudsters continuing to target vulnerable communities, how can people protect themselves from getting scammed? The next time you're scrolling through GoFundMe, be alert for red flags. This includes campaigns from new social media accounts with few followers, as well as pages that looked rushed and have sparse details.
Does the fundraiser have a clear title, image, and story?
If a GoFundMe does provide these details, it's still important to do your own investigative work. Look up the names of the people involved, see if they have posted about the fundraiser on their social media, and do a quick reverse image search. After all, scammers have been known to steal images, something a mom from Ontario, Canada recently learned the hard way after an old photo of her children was used for a fraudulent Texas floods GoFundMe.
The fact that they were positioning it to make money off the backs of people who were living through such a tragedy and making it look like the kids in the photo had died, that was the most unsettling part.
Most importantly, if you see anything that looks sketchy, don't hesitate to report a fundraiser to GoFundMe. In the end, this small act could lead to thousands of dollars in donations going from a scammer to a deserving cause. While you're here, check out our deep dive into the story time that's become the internet's latest obsession. Yep, we're talking about the unrequited love story between one woman and her psychiatrist. And consider liking, commenting, and subscribing. Your support means a lot to us and helps us continue to create videos like these.